Hello folks, no gimmicks as we enter this one. I'll reiterate one more time because I feel like a lot of people are gonna, or whoever clicks on my videos is gonna click on it thinking I'm just gonna ramble on about battle rap or something. It's one of those videos where I wouldn't encourage you watch if you're looking for any kind of entertainment value. However, I haven't really offered anything in terms of my videos recently. I feel like a lot of my content has been kind of me trying to be a cheerleader of some sort. I'm not saying the videos were dishonest. I am saying though that there was a pretty thick facade that comes with doing videos like that, and for the first time in a while, I feel like just dropping the facade for a second and just trying to talk as honestly as I can about something that's been bugging me for a couple of days. Something sparked it, but you know, it's been sort of bubbling around in the back of my synapses for a little while. Just kind of wanted to hop on and talk about it, not necessarily dissect it, because again, I don't know if I have anything scientific or anything philosophical to offer. I just kind of wanted to walk through my thoughts on it, really, based on my own experiences and speaking from my own perspective, because I'm going to try and avoid saying the words "in my opinion" or "this is just me talking," because again, I feel like that these are statements that should go without saying unless you are talking from someone else's perspective. And in this era we live in right now, everything requires clarification, and yet everything is as opaque as it's ever been. So I wanted to talk about again a concept that was kind of brought to my attention a couple of days by that, I think his name is Ollie Dugmore, the Politics Joe guy. His opening gambit was what drew my attention. He was using it to illustrate a wider point, which was something to the effect of, why men are disaffected, and he pointed to the political discourse and the ramifications of politics at the moment, the economy, and all the rest of that sort of stuff. I wanted to talk about a deeper psychological point that he raised initially, that he took as a given, that I think I take pretty serious issue with. He opened by saying something to the effect of course, men need to be more vulnerable. And I understand what he really meant by that. I understand that the concept is that men need to feel like they can express themselves and that they are valued for expressing themselves. However, it's just not been my experience that that's something that's really viable to advise any young man or man even that's struggling with whatever they're struggling with to be. What you need to do is you need to be upfront and honest and vulnerable about what's bothering you and what's getting you down in life, because it really has not been my experience that being honest about how I feel about something that's bothering me has ever really resulted in anything tangibly positive in my life. And I wanted to quantify that because, again, I'm going to stress this one last time. I'm not going to say it again, because if anyone fucking comes at me with, it might, again, I can't speak for your experience with some of this stuff. I can't speak for your social circle. I can't speak for your support circle or any of that sort of stuff. I can only speak for myself. And I, unlike a lot of people, I think roll in quite a diverse array of circles. I rub shoulders with a lot of different people from a lot of different backgrounds and a lot of different socio-political stances and a lot of different financial backgrounds and all the rest of this sort of stuff. And I'm expected to just kind of drift between them. I don't really have one of my own. But like, something that's ubiquitous is that whenever I've expressed even an iota of vulnerability with anybody, this isn't a man-woman thing. This is the insular, isolated experience of being a man, in my experience, is it's punished. It's ruthlessly fucking denigrated. And I wanted to quantify it because I felt like when I said it on Twitter, a lot of people are going to disagree with me on point of principle without actually trying to drill down into the nuts and bolts of it. And that's fine. Again, we all want to believe we live in a better world. We all want to believe we live in a world that is receptive, kind, caring, and understanding. No, we really don't. As in, no, we really don't. But no, we really don't. And I want to quantify that, because I feel like I want to make the point that while it's lovely to aspire to a world where men can be vulnerable and can express themselves without fear of vilification or demeaning attributes and behaviors that then make us feel like we've got to alter our behavior to harshen ourselves up, to sort of harden the heart, as it were, that's kind of a necessary anyway. And so, yeah, I wanted to quantify it. So I want to share with you, because I really want to illustrate the point, because I feel like when I tell this story, a lot of people who hear this story are going to think, what a pathetic little man, okay? Or that's a weird thing, or that's kind of pitiful. I'm like, okay. But when you remember that the point I'm telling you the story is because I'm trying to be vulnerable. I'm trying to express something right now that is deeply seated in my fucking soul, okay? And as I'm going to tell it to you, it's going to evoke certain emotions in me. It's going to be difficult for me to retell. It's going to be difficult for me to regale, okay? I want you to remember that when I also tell you how it was received in the moment. So anyway, this is only one example, by the way. I can list off more if you want. It's up to you. But anyway, here we go. So I want to rewind to Christmas of 2022. The person I was seeing at the time, we were getting pretty serious in a relationship, and it was, like I say, probably a lead up to maybe 2 weeks up to Christmas, and we're sitting on her couch watching a movie, Home Alone 2, okay? End of that movie always gets me, the bit where the mum reunites with Kevin in front of the tree, right? And the reason it gets me, see, already, it started me, is she bears a really strong resemblance to my mum when she was young. And that's a movie that we used to watch a lot when my mum was doing a lot better. And so seeing sort of a personification or a nostalgic reminder of my mum when she was in a better place, happier, healthier, more connected to the world, and seeing a redemptive moment between the personification or the fictionalization of my mum with a personification and a fictionalization of me, because I always resonated with Kevin McAllister. That might sound, again, a little bit weird speaking as a 35-year-old man now, but when I was a kid, I had the talk boy. I like to consider myself a bit of a know-it-all and a bit of a smart mouth. And to see sort of, in fiction at least, sort of the reuniting of these two figures evokes something in me that's quite hard to hide, because it's got me going now. I'm not even watching the fucking thing, it's just got me going, because it takes me back to a happier time, and it's like you can almost touch it, you can almost sense it. And the way I explain it is it's like being back home. I don't know if I felt home in decades at this point, but I felt like I'm home in that moment. And the reason it got me really bad on this occasion is because I was with her, and at that time in our relationship, I felt like we were in a really good space. I felt like, you know, we had a lot of fun together. We resonated really well together. We'd had a pretty clean run up until that point. Hadn't really argued a lot. Hadn't really had any schisms or any kind of, you know, real issues in the relationship. And like, I felt like for the first time ever, do you know what? I'm gonna feel this, right? Because right now, even in this moment when I'm trying to be vulnerable to you, I don't feel like I can be fully vulnerable. I'm holding back tears. I'm holding back the fucking will and the want to fucking feel. You know what I mean? I let myself feel in that moment. I let the emotion well over me. And I'll never forget this, man, because like, I always feel very privileged when people feel like they can really be honest with how they feel to me. It's a real privilege that someone could be that raw and honest and let them bare themselves to you in a way that they feel the weight like drop when they do. Like, you can feel like the relief, but then that sort of rush of endorphins, like, right now, what happens, right? I always feel a certain degree of privilege, but I also feel a certain degree of responsibility in that moment. Not to judge, not to praise or scold or anything like that, just to let them feel it. Let them enjoy that moment of honesty and that fucking realization of oneself for a moment, because sooner or later the fucking guard's got to get back up, right? I remember in that moment, I let myself feel it. I wasn't bawling my eyes up, but I teared up, and I was, you know, there's one creeping down my cheek and all this, that sort of shit. And she asked, like, what's wrong? I'm like, I feel like for the first time in a really long time, I'm home. Because I've got you, I've got this moment, yada, 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 right? And I remember she looked at me like I was fucking cancer-ridden. You know what I mean? I felt so judged by having a moment of vulnerability. Something that didn't, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you crying because you're happy? You know what I mean? I never forgot that. Because that's the first time in a really long time I felt like I was finally ready and willing to let my guard down, in the sense of, right, I'm going to let myself be emotional in a positive way. And I felt like such a fucking idiot after it. And that notwithstanding, that then became a really fucking toxic relationship from my perspective. In fact, it's the first relationship I think I ever ended, because I just couldn't take it anymore. Because at that point, it dawned on me that this person was not emotionally open enough to be able to facilitate a relationship with someone like me. And that's fine, you know, relationships start and end. But then you cut forward to things like, so that's my positive raw emotion. Then you got anger. And I feel like that's even worse. Because when you're talking about masculinity, you're talking about strength, but you're talking about moderated strength. That's really what people are talking about when they're talking about things that aren't toxic masculinity. They're talking about a beast that's tame, someone that is completely capable but entirely in control of themselves, right? And the thing about that is I've never seen that exist. It doesn't really exist. It's a fucking fiction. If a man is physically or mentally sharp and capable, there's only the guise of control in that sense, man. I've never met anyone that I was truly fucking terrified of, who I felt like had it together, like who at one moment couldn't. There's a friend of mine, I won't say his name, but he'll know if he watches this that I'm talking about him. When we were in school, and this is going back fucking, again, 15 years, 20 years, something like that. We're getting into a scuffle. Not a real scuffle, but we were just jostling, right? And somehow, some way, right, I managed to get under the fucking guy's thigh, scoop from behind, picked him up, didn't really know what to do, dropped him on his fucking head, right? Like, that side of his fucking head, like that, right? And it's a weird one because, again, I'm a nerd. I always have been a nerd. But I'm physically capable as a nerd. I don't really know how to understand to articulate, but I'm a nerd that has athletic capacity. So, again, I don't know why a lot of the bigger guys and a lot of the fucking more athletic guys in school wanted to test me, but I got tested a lot in school, hence the scuffle. I don't even know why we were scuffling, but this guy plays rugby, big fucking guy. I'll never forget him headbutting someone in the middle of fucking school, like hands in his pockets, walked up to a fucking guy and full on headbutted him in the fucking face. It was brutal. I knew he had a reputation. I knew he could be violent. And I'll never forget, like, he stood up, looked at me, and laughed like it was nothing. Because he also knew that he could run through me like a fucking freight train. It wasn't the fact that I'd hurt him, or at least grazed him, wasn't a factor to him, because it's not like, yeah, but you're not a threat to me, so who cares, right? Now, you might think, oh, well, no, see, that guy had a lot on it. Nah. That guy took pity on me in that moment because he saw the fucking fear in my eyes as I go, oh no, what have I done? And that's what I'm trying to say, man. That's not having a lid on it. That's him deciding that it's not worth his fucking effort pounding my fucking face into the pavement. And those are two different things, man. And what I wanted why I'm trying to reference that is because the more I've gotten older and the more I've found myself limited by what capacity I have to be able to mitigate any anger that I have, the harder it gets to separate that part of me that wants to settle any issue in my life with that anger, to satiate whatever anger I have with the problem that it's being caused by. We call that toxic masculinity in this age, but it's something I feel, man. It's something I can't reconcile. That if someone talks smack about me, when someone says it's, because I get that as well a lot with the discourse on Twitter, it's, yeah, but it ain't that deep. Like, are you saying that because you really mean it, or are you saying it because you might face some fucking consequences for that if I ever see you? You know what I mean? Like, I wrestle constantly with the consequences of what I say because I am cognizant of the effects that they can have. It's a burden of mine. I overthink things. It is true. But I think that the burden I face in particular is that I'm always wary of the consequences of not only my jabs and my goofiness and all the rest of that sort of shit. It's also, again, man, I don't really know how to say it. When I really lose my temper, I become a really horrible version of myself. But I can't say that it's something that I'd ever be fully comfortable getting rid of, because I feel like I need it sometimes. I feel like sometimes having that fucking demon, that passenger, of being able to let him take over and just fucking right wrongs, scorch the fucking earth, because the reasonable, rational, the person that aspires to be kind and understanding and who tries his best to find balance and extend courtesy and kindness wherever he can, is failing in this moment. And sometimes it's not enough just to be the nice guy. You know what I mean? Sometimes you've got to be a cunt to people. I can't really think of a better way to put it. I'll give you another example where, again, I'm not saying this is a good thing. I'm just saying this is what happened. Those fucking scooters, right? I'm running one day, as you can tell. I've got back from a run. I didn't really feel like getting changed and the rest of that sort of shit. I wanted to talk to you, and then I just want to bounce. Scooter comes, cuts up a lady in front of us. On the path, by the way. And there's a clear road it could be on, but nevertheless, gets off right. Then he cuts me up. I've had enough by this point. I give him a nudge. Nearly go, wobbles, turns around and goes, what was that for? And I go, you nearly cut me up, and you nearly cut her up. But did I hit you, though? Now, normally I laugh at that. I laugh at the audacity. I laugh at the shirking of responsibility, the complete lack of awareness to just admit a mistake, move on, and let's call it a day, right? I wasn't having it that day. I was angling to pick a fight, and I get right in this fucker's face. And I mean, you disrespectful little cunt, you fucking prick. Who the fuck do you think? Blah 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 blah, right? And I let this guy have it. And again, I'm not saying this to brag. This is what's stupid about it. And I think, again, masculinity in this age is bragging, oh yeah, he was 10 foot tall and 50 stone and I knocked him out. It's like, nah, it's not about that. But I'm just saying that in this moment, the fact that this guy was at least a foot taller than me, he was fucking huge, it didn't matter. It was the indignation of the fact that not just me, but some poor defenseless fucking woman who's about half his fucking height gets cut up, and the only thing he can think to say in moments like that is to defend himself in a moment where he's clearly wrong. And here's the thing with this. So I go mental at him, and he walks off. Just walks off. Doesn't engage. He's clearly just not going to win the argument, so he decides, right, whatever, right. So I catch up to the lady, and I'm like, right, I've got to try and find a positive in this situation. So I stop her and say, listen, can I just ask you a quick question? I've just had a massive argument with this guy. Before I feel like a twat for the rest of the day, did he cut you up? Or did I miss-see that? Did I see something different? She goes, no, he cut me up. And I'm like, on his behalf then, I'm sorry, because that's bang out of order that's happened to you, and I feel like you're owed an apology, and you sure as fuck ain't going to get one from him. So I'm sorry, right? I remember the look on her face too. She had no fucking idea what to do with that. None. Like, what? Why are you being nice for? And it was almost like, why are you standing up for anybody? This is town centre. People are twats to each other. That's just the way it goes. And like, again, I'm not saying this is masculinity. This might just be pride. Man, I don't accept that as an answer. I accept fucking common courtesy and kindness as the fucking default, and the pricks are the ones we should be ostracizing and fucking shaming, occasionally giving a fucking hiding. I feel like a lot of this generation, people younger than me, maybe even a lot of people older now, again, I can't apply this to any age demographic, forget what a good fucking slap in the face feels like, man. And they feel like they can hide behind the discourse of their actions like it's nothing. But I come back to the idea of masculinity, because that thought of, man, fuck it. To quote my man Bobby Rex, fuck it. If we really can't settle this with logic and reason, let's go to a fucking car park and sort this out, man. Whoever's left standing's right. Fuck you. That is a toxic trait to a lot of people. I get that. But the redundance of anything in its place to moderate and really fucking, not police, but certainly instigate common courtesy as a baseline is fucked up, man. I don't really know how else to say it. And I wrestle with that, is what I'm saying. Like, when the thumbnail of this video, when I think of masculinity, I think of struggle. It's not struggle in the sense of I'm not struggling against some grand oppression to be a man. I'm struggling with the expectations of it. I'm struggling with the notion that in order to be a man, I'm supposed to be strong and just sort of grit and bear shit, but do nothing about it. I'm not supposed to solve problems. I'm supposed to just take them. I'm not supposed to ask questions about shit. I'm just supposed to suffer the consequences of shit. And the more I think, and the more I try to express that thought, if I see issues or I see something that I'm not satisfied with, it's met with the hostility that when I meet it with what I consider to be commensurate hostility is then shunned. It's, whoa, you can't do that. And it's like, right, either put the fuck up or shut up. Like, I predicted this a few years ago with my housemate when I said, look, there's going to come a time where people realize that there's just enough of them. And if there's enough of them and they're all coordinated and they just put fucking fists to the problem, you're going to start to see some pretty serious psychological problems emanate within men in particular, because they're not going to see the reason or the logic in following a reason. I know this because I have that temptation almost every fucking day. Every fucking day. I have moments where I am met with some kind of indignation that my initial thought is, there's no fucking way if you were stood here looking me in my fucking eyes you'd say that. There's no fucking way. Because we both know if you invoked this reaction out of me in this place, you'd feel fucking fear. But because you're behind a phone, because you're behind a computer, because you're in a car, because you're on a scooter heading in the opposite direction, you feel like you're allowed to do it. Apply this to any relationship these days where social media has taught people that it's okay to treat people like disposable, interchangeable fucking slides in a fucking otherwise self-directed PowerPoint presentation where it's just click onto the next one, click onto the next one. You agree with me? Fuck you if you don't. If you don't agree with me, you're out. It creates this climate of never... As a man, I'm just, again, I'll say it again. I've said it twice now. In my opinion, A lot of impulses and emotions that should come naturally to me are things that I have to suppress and struggle with. And so I come back to the point raised of men should feel like they can be vulnerable, or should be more vulnerable. I want to say I want to agree with the notion of it, but I don't, because I know that if I've ever been vulnerable, it's been, like I say, it's been punished. I should say actually that interchange with the guy started with me kind of, again, that levitus, like, come on, man, like, come on, you cut me up, you cut her up, come on now, you just, listen, you're not supposed to be on the apartment, come on, man. And it's, did I hit you though? Fuck did you just say? Like, and like I said, I'm not proud of that. And again, I'm not saying it's the right thing. I'm saying though that that's what I'm saying, is that's the reality we're living in at the moment. The reality is that unless you're willing to go to a place that the other person isn't in terms of hostility or aggression, you're going to get walked all over as a dude these days. That's just the way of it. I don't really know how other way to articulate it. If I have a conversation with another guy who's struggling with, I tell you what, I'll give you another example, not me, but another fella. Relationship problems, as you'd expect. That motherfucker's tried to be honest. That motherfucker's gone to counselling. He's gone to therapy to try to appease people in his life. Do you want to tell me he's happier? Do you want to tell me he feels more accomplished or more rounded? No, he did it to appease someone else. And are they fucking happy? No. That same person is then asking him what he said in therapy, which is supposed to be confidential. And if he doesn't disclose it, he gets fucking harangued for it. You want to tell me that's natural? You want to tell me that's a loving, encouraging, accepting social norm? And again, this is what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to confront something here, which is, I think we need to all kind of be honest and be accountable for the fact that we've kind of facilitated this expectation that you should be subservient, vulnerable, but yet totally capable at the same time. Someone who is almost like a fucking soldier in terms of their strength, mental fortitude, capability, but then also decorum and all the rest of that sort of stuff. At the moment, man, I'm just telling you that in my experience, those two things don't marry up all that well. If someone is submissive and empathetic and world conscious, and to a degree a little bit of a limp wrist when it comes to the physical aspect of just anything, I'm not just talking fighting or so, discourse in fucking public. I'm just talking like, can they run? Can they jog? Can they pull themselves up if they fell off a cliff? That doesn't marry with someone that you wouldn't want to fuck with, because that person is completely self-fucking committed to themselves. And if they've got any fucking social awareness, they've cloaked that with the veil of this notion of, oh yeah, I believe in, yeah, blah, 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 blah. But it's a facade. It's fake. It's not real. These guys are the same people that behind closed doors are going to be as misogynistic as shit when it comes to all of this other stuff. I can tell you, I'm behind those closed doors. I haven't met a person yet who's won, and I've never met another person who I ever considered to be on my level athletically, but also on my level empathetically. I can't think of, if they're on my level or above athletically, these are guys that can't process other people's emotions. They can't think of a world outside of themselves, let alone another person's experience or their fucking, how their actions might impact other people. And then you've got the other side of the coin. People that constantly worry about absolutely everything, wouldn't say boo to a goose, never seek conflict, always seek to diffuse or avoid it. I'm not saying it makes me special in any way, shape or form. I'm just in a weird position because I was taught a lot of empathy and care and attention. I've gone through a little bit with my family in terms of like a lot of loss. Like, I'll tell you one last little example of why I despair about the fucking, what I consider to be the disparity between what I'm allowed to get away with thinking and feeling versus what other people are. Again, it's not a man-woman thing. It's not a rich-poor thing. It's not a political thing. It's just my experience versus other people's. Recently, we had to, at the place I work, we had to let someone go. Now, the reasoning for that I'll keep to myself because, it's business. But I will share with you that the person who acquitted themselves in that moment of, why we let them go, it was everything in me not to go, you understand that while you're complaining about what you're complaining about, every week I have to go and see my mum die a little bit. Because her health and mental health have deteriorated oh so steadily and oh so incrementally for 7 years now. And every week, the best I can do is to try and put a smile on her face while she's cognizant and aware enough to be in the room with me before she starts talking about whatever it is that she talks about. And I just have to, as a person who struggles with that, because I can't do anything, there's nothing I can do. I can't offer a medicine or a treatment. There's no psychological ploy I can't get mad. I can't yell at her to stop it. I can't agree with her because that reinforces it. I just have to listen. You have fucking any idea how hard that is? You have any fucking idea? Add to that, and this is being again brutally honest, every week I have to hand my kids back to somebody else and watch them grow up on the outside. I get time. Again, I wouldn't trade that time for the world. But every week I've got to hand my kids back to somebody else. Do you have any idea how that makes you feel as a man? And again, in both situations, nothing you can do. You do two things: nothing and like it. Take it. Just take it. Because what other choice do you have? I'll tell you what your choices are. Your choices are you can kick up a fuss, in which case you'd lose it anyway. If I kicked up a fuss at the doctors for not doing more for my mum, or the care staff for not going to extra lengths to make her feel comfortable or whatever, right, you're not allowed in here anymore. Same with, children's situation. If you kick off, again, you're punished as a dude anyway. Or you let go. You just say, right, I can't face it anymore. I'm not going. I'm gonna protect myself against the feeling of it by not engaging with it. And that's not acceptable to me either. It's just not. You have no idea how many times that I wrestle with this notion of whether or not people are better off without me for a variety of reasons, but chief among which is when I'm in these moments and I know how I'm gonna feel, I'm gonna want to fucking just do something to change these things, to make them better, to stop feeling the way that I feel. You know you're gonna have the exact opposite effect, so you just have to fucking take it. I don't know if that exists for a lot of other scenarios for other people. I feel like most people can get away with kicking off and it being taken in stride. The recklessness of it being sort of generally accepted that that's just the way it is and so it's cool. But then if you for a moment allow the vulnerability element to enter your mind when you express something, oh, you done fucked up, son. And so we arrive back at the question, the point that was raised by Ollie Dugmore, which is men should be more vulnerable. Well, if they're going to be more vulnerable, then you've got to reconcile the fact that they're going to be vulnerable in ways that you won't agree with. They're going to feel vulnerable about things, or they're going to feel sensitive about things or emotional about things that are going to make you think, huh? Really? And you've got to be okay with that. You've got to be accepting to that. You've got to try and process that. Or you've got to just fucking deal with the fact that you're going to have a lot of guys that are penting up stuff and are going to find ways of alleviating it in ways, again, that you're probably not going to like. And in my mind, the choice is accept or don't, but don't be surprised either way, because there is only so long you can suppress things before they start to have adverse effects of their own. In my case, what happens is my emotions catch up to me in moments that I don't expect. They sort of catch me off guard. Like I'll be doing okay in a day, sort of rumbling on, generally speaking. And 9 times out of 10, I'll take a lick and it's like, okay, all right, whatever. It's not worth getting mad about today. Close my eyes, take a breath, all the rest of it. And then occasionally, man, something will catch me and it's just, you know what? You picked the wrong fucking day. And the only thing I found to sort of mitigate that and give me any kind of closure that, okay, right, I'll feel bad about it, but I'm not going to feel bad about it for all that long is, right, well, did I at least try everything else? Did I at least try talking? Did I at least try the fairness angle? Because honestly, I feel like at the moment, again, in the world we live in, people are perfectly happy to live in their own fabrications and be as unreasonable or unresponsive to what they should be open and responsive to. That the only thing that really will move the discourse forward is sometimes forcing it. Again, it's a really poor choice of words, I grant you, but I can't really think of another way to articulate it. The example I'd point to here is I see a lot of very, very conservative views start to skew towards the xenophobic side of things, and that's when I have to pump the brakes on that and go, listen, right, can I just stop you? Before you go blaming ethnic minorities, refugees, immigrants, whatever, people that are different from you for your problems, can I maybe submit to you that that's not necessarily the best course of action or the best meta path to follow? Because you follow that path down long enough, it sooner or later comes to you, and so you're different from someone in power sooner or later because they're in power and you're not. It's just that at the moment, race, where you're born, how you got to a country that you now live in are used as weapons against you. Cool. How long is it before your sexual orientation, your religion, your fucking where you live in the goddamn country, or where you live in the goddamn town you live in, is then used as a way of being able to dismiss you as a person? And instead, maybe look at the problem from a more practical and open perspective. I can't tell you how often that fucking line gets met with a snort of derision now. Like, I don't know what I'm talking about. Like, no, you haven't looked into it. It's like, I don't need to look into it. It's not that. The fact that you're buying into something like that tells me that you're lazy in of itself. You've bought a narrative that you're now trying to peddle to me, and that I don't buy it because you're telling me is stupid. And there's only so much stupid I'm willing to tolerate these days, unfortunately. Again, to bring it back to the topic of masculinity, I feel like part of my evolution as a man these days is just telling people, listen, I'm not interested. I felt like in my late 20s, I was trying to be more open and receptive to almost anybody, irrespective of their positioning. There has come a point in now in my mid 30s where I'm just, listen, dude, there are some things you're not going to change my mind about. And if you're going to come up to me with bigotry, racism, misogyny, xenophobia, racism, whatever it is, could you tell your story walking? I'm not really interested in hearing what you have to say, because you're not. And again, it's that attitude that's going to be, oh, you're dismissing people. Like, yeah, I've had my run now with, I've tried to be patient, I've tried to be understanding of everyone's understanding of situations, but there has to come a point where you kind of set your stall out and say, listen, I'm not being funny. If you believe that where a person is born directly affects problems that affect you and not someone else's ability to make a decision that would mitigate that's caused by some wider issue, usually aimed at profiting from it, I don't really know what to say to you except for good luck when that applies to you. Because that's what will happen sooner or later. Once everyone in that particular thing is aimed at and gotten rid of, dismissed, all the rest of it, they look for another target. Because that's how it works. And again, having conversations like this, trying to be open and illuminative, only gets you so far in this current era. In this current era, we're in a weird spot, man. And I'm finding that more and more having to be stern with people is the necessary option. And I don't like it, because puts me in mind of a younger version of myself when I was still dealing with parental figures, father figures, bosses, superiors, all the rest of it, who were very stern and dismissive and almost completely closed doors. And I always thought that was wrong. And I wouldn't consider myself on their level yet, but I'm seeing more and more the logic in being the island, which is something we've always, again, we come back to this notion of vulnerability. Like, we're taught now, it's like, no man is an island. We need everybody else. I'm like, dude, again, I'm only speaking to my experience. I don't lean on fucking anybody, man. Can't afford to. You know? I can't. You know? I've done it too many times where it's bit me in the ass. And so, yeah, no, I don't buy that now. And I wouldn't say, and again, I'm trying to be honest about it. That's why it's a weird one to talk about, because I feel like a lot of people are going to disagree with me. It's like, no, you can be. Look, in my experience. Okay, great. More power to you. If you've got someone in your life that you can be truly vulnerable with and it not be held against you and leveraged against you in any way, shape or form, but great. Again, I cannot say I have met anyone that can be truly vulnerable and honest with another person and it not be leveraged against them. It has literally never happened. And in my experience, my best relationships are the ones where I keep guarded against those vulnerabilities. I keep them as far away from my vulnerabilities and inadequacies as a man as is humanly possible. The people that I love the most are the ones that I go, right, you never see this shit. Take of that what you will, man. I'm just saying that that's my experience, and I don't really see any evidence in the wider world to suggest that that's going to change either. Even, again, this sounds like a weird one, but it just, the next time you're walking down the street, judge it for yourself. See how many people make eye contact with you. See how many people will move if you move, or say thank you if you stop and let them through. The discourse at the moment in the world is not, it's not open for kindness. It's not open for vulnerability. And if you really want that, and I pray that everyone does, and this is where I kind of make the save at the end to say, listen, I'm not saying that, you know, you need to fucking just walk down the street and punch everybody that you see. I'm saying I want there to be a world where people can truly be who they truly are and have that acceptance and have that love and kindness and consideration extended to them and received in turn and extend it in turn. But you're going to have to understand and reconcile the fact that it's going to take more people than not to do that for it to work. And any argument, unfortunately, any argument or solution that starts with the phrase, if everyone just, it's destined to fail because everyone doesn't. Everyone does something else. That's why we have the problem. And so my solution for now is, if you're a guy listening to this and you think being vulnerable is the solution to your problems, I'm advising you against that notion. I'm advising you instead to look at ways to help harden yourself, improve yourself, strengthen yourself, and mitigate those vulnerabilities wherever possible. Because when it happens, and it will, it's not an if, sooner or later those vulnerabilities will bite you in the fucking ass, my friend. It doesn't impact you in the way that it's impacted me in the past, where I felt a distinct sense of betrayal when I aired my vulnerabilities and I was honest. And, you know, I even made a video at one point, so the more I try to be honest, the more it hurts me, because it really does. When I've really felt like I'm telling you how I really feel, I'm not sugarcoating this, I'm not telling you because I want you to think something, I'm trying to sell you on something, I'm literally just trying to help you get in here for a second, have a nose around, hop back out again, take what you will from it. If you've heard nothing about this that just wrong, okay, cool, but I've been honest. And I felt like I needed to get out of my head with it for a little bit, because I'm tired of trying to pretend and maintain a company line with it. And I feel like that's been the case for a while. And I feel like a lot of guys are towing that company line with it too. And I'd rather them be honest as well. They won't. I feel like there's too much at stake for them, to be honest, really. But we'll see. I don't know. I wanted to say lastly that thanks for if you watched any of this. Thanks for letting me just try and talk my way through. I haven't written anything down for this. I had a couple of things that I wanted to touch on, hence the stories, and the framing of it wasn't very good, and obviously I've meandered a little bit. But thanks for letting me try and figure it out as I go, as I do with these sometimes. When I know I've got something to say, but I'm not quite sure how to say it, I'm trying to find the words, I'm trying to stick the landing with it. It doesn't always come out that well. It's one of those videos that I hope kind of hope that no one watches. But I think one of the things that I hope is that, yeah, I kind of hope that, hang on, I'm just checking something. There you go. Alright. Sorry. Yeah, I'm just seeing how long we've been going for. We've been going for nearly an hour. Shit, sorry. If anyone's still watching this, I apologize for droning on. The one last thing I want to take away from people is, again, it's kind of the counter to that if everyone would just thing. The stupidest thing is that it's within everyone's power to change this tomorrow. Like, just to step outside of themselves and think, right, what's the world I want to live in? Okay, do we all kind of generally agree it's the world we want to live in is one that we share our resources, time, care, understanding, so that everyone feels like they're cared for and that they matter? Because genuinely, like, I'll end on this, since we're sharing vulnerabilities here. I took a break from social media. I think it was a little bit before Christmas. It might have been the week before Christmas. I can't remember. Or it was after. It might have been after. I don't remember. Christmas Day was hard this year. Yeah, and I'll tell you this because this is more evidence to my this is just me. Dude, I fucking prayed for death during that time, man. Like, literally right here, just like, fucking just asking whoever or whatever is out there, just fucking kill me, man. Just fucking just end it so I don't know it's done, you know? And the reason I felt like that is because, again, it was another year where I felt like I'd amounted to nothing, achieved nothing, influenced nothing, didn't enter anyone's mind that I wasn't around, and just was like, do you know what? Just Thanos snap me. Do you know what? Just be done with it. Do you know what I mean? No, full on tears, man. Just like, just let it be over, man. Just fucking, you know what I mean? A couple of months later, someone's talking to me about, so again, it's not a dick measuring contest in terms of suffering, but like whining about something so fucking innocuous and stupid. And I told them, listen, dude, you know, I get it, you know, it's hard, but you know, not being funny, but over Christmas, I wanted to put a fucking gun in my mouth and blow my fucking head off. I remember that person just fucking dismissed that statement. Like, yeah, well, you know, I know how it is. It's like, huh. I just told another human being I wanted to kill myself, and it barely registered, you know? And again, that's male suffering in a nutshell. If you're not going through this, more power to you, or if you're, you know, whatever technicolor rainbow position you adopt, that's how inconsequential you can feel sometimes. That you beg for death, it doesn't come. Because again, I'm a coward. I'm not gonna fucking do anything about it. I just if I'd have been hit by a bus that careened through my fucking wall at that moment, it wouldn't have been the worst thing to happen to me that day. You tell someone that, and they just sort of shake it off, you know? I mean, that's the... And you do, you know? I'm not sitting here with cut marks down my fucking hands, or syringe marks, or, you know, I haven't tried to drink myself to death since. I don't walk in front of cars. You know, I don't pick fights with people hoping someone's going to stab me to death. Genuinely, I pick fights because I feel like they're worth picking. I'm just saying though that, like, again, from the perspective of masculinity is toxic, or it is a problem, or it's an issue, or vulnerability, or blah, I'm just telling you that there's so many more deep-seated issues that need resolving first, in terms of the world you want to fucking facilitate that in, before you go telling guys to paint fucking targets on their backs. And that's what I guess I saw that statement as. Men need to be vulnerable. I saw that as asking men to fucking take the fucking bullet to the skull willingly. And I think that's, I wouldn't tell young men or men in general that that's an acceptable course of action. My advice to them would be wary of people that want you to bare yourself, because these might be people that use that to prey on you. And that's again in my mid-30s now, in my up to my early 30s, I hadn't met too many people in the world that I felt preyed on me. Yeah, last 3 or 4 years, man, I've met people, not even like heard of people. Like, I know we hear about fucking pieces of shit in the news, but like, I've met people you go, fucking hell, you're a psychopath. I feel sorry for anyone that meets you and thinks you're their friend, because you. And that's what I'm trying to say to guys. Like, never ever be surprised by the person it turns out stabs you in the back, man, because they're people you won't. That's kind of their gimmick, man. So just be careful. Again, if I'm trying to make this advice now, I'm not sure I'm trying to make this advice, but let's say it's advice for a second. Be careful with your vulnerability. Guard it. Don't advertise it. Not for a fucking moment. It's not right now anyway. I see very little evidence, if any, to suggest that that's a good idea. But work on it. Hadashrooms has commented here, and I've not addressed it directly. Hadashrooms, I appreciate the sentiment. It's not. That's what I'm trying to say. Like, I wouldn't ever do anything, because again, my mind goes to. But that's kind of, you kind of illustrating my point. The reason for continuing is not for me. It's for someone else. It's more responsibility. It's more, but you're expected to. And it's like, that's not a reason. Like, I'm sorry, that's not a reason. Again, but that's what I'm trying to say to you. That was a moment of weakness. That was a moment that was for me. And I'm only sharing it because I wanted to illustrate what happened when I shared it with another human being, in a moment we shared together, in a moment that I wanted to try and connect and resonate with, and it was shirked. It was just fucking dismissed. And I'm saying to Hadashin's comment, I don't feel this way. I don't walk around every day, again, thinking about this, right? I'm sharing with you, it's an experience that I had, and I had it privately, and I passed privately, because I don't know what anyone would have done with that. If I'd have called them and said, dude, I've just spent the last 2 days hoping that the fucking ceiling falls in and crushes me to death. Like, what are they supposed to do with that? You know? Like, I wouldn't inflict that on anybody. In the same way, I wouldn't empower anyone to that effect to go, how can I use this against Lorne now? You know, in the same way, like, talking about this on a podcast is like, I know I'm probably empowering some hater out there that's going to get wind of this and go, did you hear what Lorne was talking about? And they go, see, I always knew he was a pussy. And it's like, oh, cool. Yeah. All right, cheers. Because, again, best of luck to you when you hit your low moments. And that's kind of the point I'm making, is like, I don't really know what to say to people who haven't had those low moments yet, except for when it happens, I really hope you do have a support circle around you that is completely flying in the face of everything that I've said. Because really and truly, like, again, I can only speak to my experience, but like, again, I'll take you back to, like, I know I was supposed to have signed up, but I just really want to illustrate the point, because I just don't see any evidence to the contrary in this, guys. I really don't. When I was told that my mum had a stroke, right, and she was probably gonna die. This is, again, 7 or 8 years ago now. I'll never forget, like, the person I really trusted in that moment came out and told me dead to my fucking face, looked me dead in the eye as he said this, they're not going to resuscitate her if she fucking codes. Like it was a choice. Like it's like, oh yeah, I've decided that. You're just going to look me in the eye and tell me if my mum codes, she's going to die and you're not going to do anything about it. And you expect me to be happy with that. You expect me to not react to that. Like, again, like, 35... Am I 35? I forget. I'm 35 or 36. I forget. 36-year-old would have punched him right in the fucking nose. Fuck you! How fucking dare you? I'm not sure that would have done much good in the moment. I am saying to you now that part of me really regrets not fucking decking him in the fucking nose and saying, you ever fucking say that. It's also the reason, man, I think about that because, again, I got that news by myself, man. Like, I didn't share that. I didn't call my friends or my girlfriend at the time and say, you never guess what so-and-so said, because what would they have done? What would they have said? What would they have done with that information? You know what I mean? Like, again, I'm sorry to keep circling the drain on this subject because we're coming up to an hour and I want to wrap it because I feel like I've made my point. Even if it doesn't resonate with people, I get that. That's fine. And Halcyon Shrooms, by the way, man, I'm not disparaging your courtesy and kindness. I appreciate the sentiment, okay? And the reason I maybe have undermined it a little bit is because I'm not sitting here telling you that I'm suicidal or any of that shit. I'm saying, like I said, it was a moment and it passed, okay? I'm glad that, look, again, I'm happy it did. I'm not sitting around, reminiscing on the time like it was, oh, yeah, man, what a great time that was. I'm telling you, though, that it was a moment I knew I had to have privately. It wasn't a moment I wanted to share with anybody else or see in the moment, And again, it's weird. Like, again, I'm glad that no one did. I'm glad no one saw it. I'm glad that I can share it now within a controlled context. I'm just saying, though, that from what that original statement, men should be more vulnerable. Okay, in that world, I either shouldn't have felt that way because I would have had the support and validation coming into that to say you don't need to feel that way, or I should have felt like I could have expressed that feeling to someone somehow, some way, and it feel accepted and processed and validated. And I do not have faith that that would have been the case. And that's been fucking validated by the fact that I then told someone about it months later in an honest moment, and it was just, And you go, wow, that's where we're up to, man. That's where we're up to in our discourse, that it's just my suffering trumps yours right now, sorry. For a relatively benign bullshit reason, by the way. Again, I won't disclose why. I just remember thinking, like, fuck, that's what you're palming me off for. Okay. All right. Fair enough. So, yeah, man. Again, and I don't know how much of this can apply to other people on the spectrum. And again, take of this what you will. I'm just saying, though, that when I think of masculinity, I think of struggle. I think of struggling to maintain an expectation of me that is, I have to be strong and stern and impermeable to the threat of the world, the ever-increasing burden of the world, all the negativity of the world has to offer. I have to shield the people around me from it. I have to be a fucking sword against fucking shit. But by all means, keep it all in check. Don't you dare express an iota of dissatisfaction with it. Don't even think about it. Shut up. Be a little soldier. March onwards. Stiff upper lip and all that jazz. But what's bothering you? And you go, whoa, a bunch of other stuff. Did you hear what he said? Oh, pussy. It's like, oh, cool. That's the world we live in right now. And I'm saying that if you want to marry that up with the fucking world you want to live in, which is that guys can say, hey, listen, man, I feel pretty fucking worthless right now. I feel like I don't contribute anything. I feel like every room I walk into is worsened with my presence. I feel like when I talk to people who I'm sharing space with, I feel like it's just them waiting for their turn to talk rather than actually hear what I have to say. I feel like I have a lot of ideas and I have a lot of time to think about things and process things, and I offer things and they're disparaged. Yeah, but who cares about that? It's like, okay, cool. And that's what I'm trying to say to you, man. I'm not saying my experience is valid or invalid. I'm saying it's my experience. And I'm just saying that that experience completely goes against that mantra of men need to be vulnerable, or they need to feel like they need to be more vulnerable. I'm saying, my brothers in Christ, if you want to be vulnerable, go right ahead. I'm just telling you that in my experience, there's some pretty fucking dire consequences of that. The worst among which is just it falls on deaf ears, man, and you realize just how little your fucking suffering or your anger or irritation really fucking means, unless you're then willing to back it up with something. And what a fucking horrible lesson that is. What a horrible lesson that teaches men and young men, that the only time that people actually hear, not even agree, just hear it, is when they act out, or they get violent or aggressive or angry or vitriolic. What a terrible lesson that is. But it's the lesson that's being taught over and over again at the moment, not only by social media. Let's take that out of the equation for a second. Just fucking walk down the street. Walk down the street and not walk in a way where you are walking with strength and pride. And watch how many people actually extend you the courtesy of just a little shift to the left, or a shift to the right, or a pause, or a wait, or a good morning, or a tip of the nose, or any of that sort of stuff. They'll walk straight fucking through you. Straight fucking through you. That's the world we live in right now. So that notion, I'm sorry, I reject it wholeheartedly. My advice instead is aspire to a world where you can be vulnerable. That's fine. I've got no problems with that. But until we get to that fucking point, guard your vulnerabilities like they are weaknesses in your otherwise impregnable armor. Do what you can to reinforce that motherfucking armor. Strengthen yourself. Strengthen your resolve. Fucking... by the way, I know this is starting to sound like... But before you do anything... Don't listen to Andrew Tate and that fucking ilk. Please, I'm begging you, don't do that. If anyone then takes... you're a big fan of Andrew... Please don't. Again, you want to talk about someone that weaponizes masculinity towards misogynistic, racist fucking torrents? Please. Again, that's the other thing I would say to guys. Do you fucking read, but don't read the shit online. Read a fucking book occasionally, for fuck's sake. Just because... I'm sorry, the number of flat earth believers and people that don't believe dinosaurs existed is a commensurate rate to how many fucking idiots there are online. Those two things are not coincidental. Okay? Reading something online and being an intelligent individual are not two of the same things, dude. So please, if again, all of this to say, fucking hell, man. This isn't some Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate fucking thing, because... Again, both of those motherfuckers want to weaponize young men, and that's what I'm trying to say to young men everywhere and men everywhere. Like, you need to be your own person, man. You need to be more comfortable being an individual. You need to be more comfortable with being who you are, but trying to aspire to be a good version of yourself. And part of that comes with understanding and acknowledging that appeasing everybody isn't going to really get you anywhere. At least in my opinion, you'll either pay the price of feeling like you've been subjugated to a large degree, or if you go down the path of just cutting loose completely, then yeah, you'll probably end up a misogynistic piece of shit. It's a line you have to walk. Like I said, when I think of masculinity, I think of a struggle to retain a balance, an equilibrium between being someone that can defend, but someone that can be that can pose a threat, in order to walk the line of being able to maintain a morality that is so fucking lacking at the moment that it's genuinely concerning at how many people shirk things like, again, being just a good person, a kind person. Like, again, I want to be the kind version of myself. I want to be the sort of meek, slightly inward person who kind of fucking just wants to see all the positives of the world, man. And yet, I can't help but notice that the only time I ever seem to get anything done in this fucking world is when I go, fuck this. Fuck you. This is happening. This goes here. This goes here. You got a problem? Tell your story fucking walking, because I don't give a shit. And I hate that that's the lesson that keeps being reinforced to me, and I have to fucking say, maybe for this moment, but you can't let that become who you are, because then we have a fucking army of guys walking around thinking that squaring up to people is an appropriate course of action, and it isn't. I'm just saying though that, like, I haven't met a guy yet who walked that line well based on the expectations that the world is currently placing on us. And yeah, it's a hard one. Again, I've wrestled with it for an hour now, and I really don't know if I fucking wrestled with it very well. That's the kind of juxtaposition. I'm talking about my experience, my thoughts, and yet I'm comparing and contrasting. What do people think? Are people going to be okay with it? Are they going to resonate with it? I'm just walking you through how I feel, man. And that's part of my point, is I should be able to talk about how I feel. And it be like, well, that's how you feel. Okay, that's how you feel. I don't agree with it, but that's how you feel. Cool. Rather than, what I know is that there's fucking people that will take this and use it to make a think piece or fucking exert it, and it's like, dude, I'm just trying to wade through a fucking pool of bullshit here, trying to find some nugget of truth, some fucking kernel of fucking quintessential essence that I can hold up and say, right, this is worth having. And I don't know if saying to guys, men need to be vulnerable, is that kernel. I guess that's all I'm saying. I disagree with that statement. I don't buy that statement even for a fucking minute. I think aspire to a world where you can be vulnerable, that's fine. But while you're aspiring and striving towards it, don't be surprised that there are a fucking horde of people that will prey on any iota of vulnerability that you exhibit. And my advice to you would be to fucking do your best to protect it and to disguise it as best you can while you're working on it. Because, yeah, again, I don't know very many people that can really be honest with their significant others, with their family members, people around them that are close. So I think there's a saying, like, the people you can be most honest with are strangers, because they have no expectation of who and what you are. So when you say something, they've got no basis of comparison with, so just go, okay, well, fair enough. Yeah, I guess that's all I wanted to say. So I've rambled here. Hadashrooms has commented, so I appreciate you, Hadashrooms. Again, it's just battle rap related, brother, so I don't know why you tuned into me just rambling about myself for an hour. I apologize, but I appreciate it. And for anyone that's watched this, I don't know how, again, my average view, again, I'm complaining now, but my average view time is about fucking 6 minutes. So if it's any consolation, you probably missed all of it, because this has been for an hour and 9 minutes. So yeah, what I'll say is, because I want to, again, yeah, I know Hadashrooms. I'm messing with you, man. I appreciate it, and like I say, there's people that tune into my stuff no matter what it is, and yeah, Hadashrooms is one, Charlie's another. I appreciate you both, and indeed I appreciate anyone that watches this. What I will say to hold myself accountable, because I'm a big fan of it. I'm a big fan of saying, listen, if I've said something and someone takes issue with it, okay, cool. Especially if it's something that someone wants to counter with another piece of evidence or another experience of theirs, okay, cool. DM me. Let's have a conversation about it. Not about the stuff I was talking about earlier about Christmas. Listen, man, again, if anyone's... it's nothing to be worried about. Again, it was a moment. It passed. It's fine. I'm just saying, though, that, like, I'll put money that almost every bloke watching has had some form of that thought course through their minds in the last... I'll be generous, say year. Almost all of us have had a feeling of inadequacy so great, or a feeling of just powerlessness that is so great that you at least contemplate it. I'm not saying you ever act on it or ever think any seriously about it, but it's certainly a thought that crosses your mind. And that's the world we live in. And I just feel like instead of encouraging more men to fucking advertise what that thought is, you should probably go some way to thinking about what prompts that thought in the first place and dealing with that first. But as I've just said, if anyone disagrees with that, you are more than welcome to DM me, and we will have a private conversation about it if you feel that that's conducive to a good outcome. What I will also say is, if anything I've said has affected you or upset you, I can only say it's been my experience, man. Okay? This is not me to say that this is... I've made some generalizations in this rant. However, I've tried to keep a lot of my generalizations rooted in my experience in order to try and permeate the point that I'm making, which is I disagree with the original statement Oliver Dugmore made. If your experience differs, cool. If you have listened to me drone on and gone, you talking absolute shit, okay, fair enough, okay? But I'll defend my experience because, again, that's what it's taught me, is that there are some things that you've got to just fucking fight for. And in this case, it's just, listen, man, you gotta let me point out when I think something's bullshit, and it's bullshit. Like I said, DM me if you take issue with it. DM me if you've got something to say about it. Otherwise, know that, and I say this every video, right? And I don't just say it because it's a gimmick. I say it because I can't really be everywhere at once. I'm a kind of a hard... I talk a lot, but I'm a hard person to get a hold of. If you're not one of my kids or you're not at work, I don't really talk to people. Like, it's you kind of have to message me with something, and then I'll talk to you. It never happens where I'll drop you a text message, say, hey, how you doing, man? It just never happens because I don't want to bother people. But yeah, I guess I'm just saying, when I say at the end of each show, I hope you're taking good care of yourself, it's because I try to, as best I can now. I'm aware that mindset is one that I could fall back into. Yesterday, actually, at No Loose Chat, that there were moments where it's like, should I even be here? Do I belong here? Am I annoying this person? If I'm just standing in the room by myself, is that going to make me look like a weirdo to everybody else? And it's like, I don't know when it was. It was probably around the midpoint. I was like, you know what? I don't care. Like, I'm going to do my fucking YouTube thing and tweet and share shit and, you know, just try and enjoy it. And then it came to the end of the day and I'm like, you know what? It's coming up to I'm just going to bounce. And, like, I felt fine. You know what I mean? Because I'm taking care of myself now. I'm trying to live by my own expectations. I'm trying to do things based on what I think I should do rather than what I think people are going to think about it. Because at least then I don't have to second guess myself. I don't have to validate myself and my actions through other people. I can only look back on it from my own perspective and say, right, did I act how I'm going to react to it in a year's time? If that makes sense. Like, if you took me from a year now and the dispassionate nature of how I'm going to feel in a year to now, would I make the same decision? That's what I try and do. So I try and do. Try and act accordingly, I guess. And that's how I'll end. I just say to people, when I say to people, right, take very good care of yourselves, it's that. Act accordingly, man. If you need space and time and you need to disconnect from shit for a little while, don't fucking apologize for that. Do it. Take care of it. Again, you're in there with yourself. No one else gets to hop in there with you and help you, not really. Take good care of yourself, man. Look after yourself. Be kind to yourself wherever possible, but be honest with yourself wherever possible, man. That's the other thing, man. I feel like, again, we're in a culture right now where everyone gets the fucking pat on the back even if they don't fucking deserve it. And then the people that need the fucking pat on the back never get it. Be honest with yourself as well, man. Give yourself a kick up the arse when you need it, but forgive yourself when you can as well. And I genuinely hope you are taking care of yourself. I appreciate How to Streams is concerned. Again, for anyone watching this, I'm going to reiterate it because I'm just saying, again, I've tried to be honest. Trying to be honest with how I felt and all the rest of that sort of stuff. And I've told 3 or 4 again, trying to be very vulnerable with you to illustrate the point that there's going to be moments that you're going to see it and you're going to go, because that's the discourse now. I only say those stories to illustrate my points. They are not to elicit pity or fucking remorse or to try and get people to change how they treat me. I'm just telling you those are my insular experiences that I'm airing to you. If you want to prove me wrong, if this is the point of this, is that, well, I'm going to show Lorne that we do live in a world where, okay, cool. Then just think about your versions of those things and how we can encourage people to feel like they can express them, but in a way that it's accepted, processed, heard, and dealt with accordingly. I'm always open for the chat, man. So yeah, let's dismount there. I'm just gonna keep ranting. Otherwise, again, I don't know if I've broached the subject well. I've just kind of ranted, and I've taken the opportunity to kind of do a bit of therapy here. So thank you for listening. If you did, I appreciate you. You're very kind for lending me your ears and your time. Know that, like I say, I'm not in those spaces now. Okay, just want to be clear on that. I'm okay. Okay, there's no need to worry. Okay, not that I'm worried that you worry. Now that I'm worried that you're worrying that I'm worrying. But you know what I mean? It's just a thought that's been stuck in my head, so I wanted to broach it. So don't know what's next. Don't know. I said I would. I'm not gonna do any more battle rap events for a while. Chief among which I found that I like battle rap events. I don't like going by myself. It's fun. It's just yeah, I just don't want to go by myself, and I just don't really have anyone that's into battle rap at the moment that's like my friend who lives nearby who wants to go with me. I've asked. Again, no one can accuse me of trying to sell battle rap to people. I tried. No one seems that interested. So I wish everyone at Prem the best of luck for March and April. No loose chat and don't flop when they decide to put on events. Best of luck. I hope it goes well. The individuals, on the other hand, I'll probably catch up with. And one last little thing, because no one's DM'd me and I just wanted to throw it out there, and if anyone can clip this part of the video up and share it around, that'd be great. I wanted to suggest something to the battlers of any of the UK-based promotions. Do me a favor. If you have a logo or a brand you use for when you're performing as your stage name for battle rap, do me a solid and DM me like the original file for it. You know, it's cleaner, bigger, and high resolution image, preferably something that was generated that you can put the transparency on. And let me know how much I can pay you for using it to make a t-shirt or a hat, because what I'd like to do is I'd like to start supporting more individual battlers. I feel like buying a ticket to an event is great, it's good, and buying the Patreon's great. There are battlers though that I'd like to support. I'd like to make sure that when I'm talking about them or that I go to an event, I'm representing, clip it, rip it off, make a bootleg version. I would like to say, here's my proposal. If whatever logo you use, however many bits of merch I make, and it'd be for me, I'm not reselling it, I want to make it for me. I'd like to have a hat and a t-shirt with it on. Let me know how much you want for that. So if you send me a logo design, you say, oh, you want to make a t-shirt, right, well, give me a tenner, and then you can spend whatever it is on the t-shirt. At least I get a tenner for you wearing my, like, you know what I mean? Like, I feel like battle rappers don't have ways of monetizing their brand outside of battles, really. I'd like to support more battlers directly, and I know that they don't have their own merch, a lot of them. But, like, just saying to them, like Gas is the example. Like, dude, like, if Gas Buff's logo has, you know, I could rip that pretty easily, but I'm just like, right, well, no, you send me the logo that you want me to use, and let me know how much that would cost to make a one-time t-shirt or hat of it. Let me DM you that money so that you get paid for my fandom of you, rather than paying for a ticket, the league having to process that to pay everybody and the promotion, all the rest of it. Because then, again, if I fancy making a fucking, I don't know, again, it'd be nice to represent more battlers and my fandom of battlers, and pay them directly for their brand, their logo, their association, because it's money in their pocket for basically nothing. Like, again, they're not literally, it's not like me saying, well, I get that brand now. It's like, no, I just want the ability to be able to make a t-shirt and you profit from it. It feels fair. Don't know how much they make. You'd have to ask the promotions, like, how much they make off merch. I know that Prem sells stuff for 25 to 80 pounds, I think a hoodie sets you back 80 quid. Primark sells hoodies for 8. So I can't imagine I can't imagine the markup is going to be quite as severe. Maybe it is. Maybe a battler says, give me 50 quid, in which case, okay, I might have to rethink that, considering it's just a hat I want to make. But I am trying to think of ways where it's like, how can I support battlers directly rather than buy tickets to promotions that I can't attend or don't want to attend. So yeah, or if anyone has a better idea, let me know. But yeah, if you're a battler and you've somehow stumbled into this video and watched an hour and a half of me ranting about mental health and men's health and all the rest of that sort of bullshit, and you've stumbled across this bit, yeah, do me a favor, DM me your brand, your logo, your design, and tell me how much you want for me to be able to print a t-shirt or a hat of that logo for my own personal consumption, along with your bank account details, so I can DM you the amount of money, because I'd like to start supporting battlers directly. That would be nice. Okay, on that note, with nothing to do with anything I've just spoken about for an hour and a half, thank you for watching. Not going to do the fucking like, share, and subscribe spiel, because that feels like it's just not, there's no point. I wouldn't ask people to like, share, and subscribe this video, because, again, this is for me, really. If you've watched it, I sincerely hope you are taking care of yourself, whoever you are, wherever you are in the world. I say it all the time, because, again, there's nothing more important than taking care of yourself in the end, because it starts with you, it ends with you. So take very, very good care of yourself. Be kind to yourself wherever you possibly can. I try to be as much as I can these days. Easier said than done, obviously. If anything I've said has affected you, or you disagree with me, or anything along those lines, my DMs are always open. There's only 2 people in this fucking world I don't ever want to fucking talk to when it comes to online culture, and they fucking know who they are, the pricks. Everyone else though, my DMs are open. Just hit me up, man. I'll be happy to chat. I'll be happy to chop it up, talk about whatever it is you want to talk about. I try and be supportive and try to be there for people, because I understand how much that can mean. So I really hope you're taking care of yourself wherever you are. Thanks for joining me. Again, don't know when the next thing is going to be, what it's going to be. We'll see. Yeah, I haven't got any events scheduled. No any live streams. Don't have any guests. No retrospectives. So yeah, I guess you have to wait and see. I haven't really decided yet. Might take a break. Who knows? Don't know. We'll see. But yeah, enjoy the rest of your Sunday evening, whatever you get up to. I hope you're gearing up for a very good week, whatever you're up to. I hope you're... Contrary to the conversation we just had, I hope your life is full of people that love, support, care about you, really encourage you and support you for being vulnerable. Love you in your deepest, darkest moments, and encourage you to overcome them. And yeah, man, just try and extend that to other people if you possibly can, I guess. So, alright, I'm going to try and dismount now. So yeah, I guess I'll see you soon. Hada Shrooms, thanks for being the only person to chime in for the whole fucking stream. I hope you're okay, brother. I'll check out some of your DJing sets when you stream it on Insta at some point. Yeah, if you watch this silently and just felt like tuning in and saying hello for a second, tuning in but not saying hello for a second, don't worry, I appreciate you all the same. So yeah, take care of yourselves, and yeah, I guess I'll see you down the road. Peace.